Call the meeting to order. May I have the statement of Open Public Meetings Act?
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this reorganization meeting of the council was provided by transmitting a copy of the meeting notice to the Madison Eagle and the Morris County Daily Record, posting a copy on the bulletin board at the main entrance of Borough Hall, and filing a copy in the office of the clerk, all on December 11, 2014. Copies of said notice were made available to members of the general public.
Roll call.
Mr. Catalinello?
Here.
Okay. Mr. Landrigan?
Here.
Mrs. Vitale?
Here.
Ms. Bailey?
Here.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Here.
Mr. Rowe?
Here.
Oh, and Mayor Conlon.
I'm here also.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I did miss you, I apologize.
That's all right. I'm from a big
Certainly not
family.
on
I got
purpose.
left behind once as a child. So. And for those that just heard Mr. Catanello's voice, he is calling in, and it is about 25 degrees here in Madison. How's it in Jamaica, Rob?
It's about 85 and sunny. No humidity, so it's not bad.
We will think about that, and maybe next year we'll all call in.
Right.
I want to call up Reverend Monsignor George Hunt from St. Vincent Parish for our invocation. Please rise.
Happy New Year, everyone. I just want to begin by thanking our good mayor, the council, all the officials of the town, our police and fire departments for the good work that they do here in Madison, and to say that as a representative of the churches in Madison, we look forward to a continued good working relationship with all of you. I also want to congratulate our newly re-elected officials, Carmela and Robert, today. Congratulations to you both. Let us pray. Dear God of many names, known by many signs throughout this beautiful world, we pause at the beginning of this singular celebration to invoke your blessings upon these our chosen leaders and upon our beautiful and blossoming Rose City. May the year ahead provide this council and our other elected leaders with the ability to confront the challenges that will inevitably come, and to do so in the best interest of this exceptional community here in the heart of Morris County, in the great state of New Jersey. May they continue to remember the high interest of the principles which they pledged to serve during the recent election. And may their future meetings continue to be typified by words that we all hold dear. Words like patience, courage, civility, honesty, forbearance, and loyalty to the goals of the citizens of Madison. Good and gracious God, we invoke the very blessing that you gave to Moses in days of old for your people, then to come upon your people now. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look upon you kindly and give you and our world peace. Amen.
Thank you, Father George. Presentation of colors, Madison Police Department. Have the Girl Scouts to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For this, thank you, girls. Thank you very much. Much honor guard, and for the singing of the national anthem, we have harmonium for the second year in a row. Thank you for joining us again today.
After we sing it, you can be seated. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Here we come a-wassailing among the leaves so green. Here we come a-wandering so fair to be seen. Love and joy come to you, and to you your wassail too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year. We are not daily beggars that beg from door to door, but we are neighbors' children whom you have seen before. Love and joy come to you, and to you your wassail too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year. Good master and mistress, as you sit by the fire, pray think of us poor children who wander in the mire. Love and joy come to you, and to you your wassail too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year. God bless the master of this house, likewise the mistresses too, and all the little children that round your table go. Love and joy come to you, and to you your wassail too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year.
Thank you so much. And if you know why we invited harmonium back again this year. All right, part of our tradition today is to recognize our long-serving volunteers, those that have served 5 years or longer and are stepping down. So I'm going to step down from here to present one. I know Mary Beth Forte is in the audience. Mary Beth, please come on up. And I see Nancy. Please, Nancy Damchek, come up and join us too, because as our director of the library, this is be appropriate to have you here. I don't see our library chair though. Is Tom here? Yep. Okay. Yep. Let's Tom, our chair of the library trustees, and all the other trustees that are here, please come up and join me. There's a couple things about this medallion we give after 5 years of service. One is it's a big thank you for a dedicated volunteer that puts in many hours to make us a better town. And 5 years is just the kind of the milestone that we have given. One of the things about this medallion is the fact that usually when I give it, I feel like I'm giving it way too soon, because Mary Beth's work for the library has been tremendous. As mayor, I've had the opportunity to serve on the board for the last 3 years, and your passion during the planning process, your leadership in the personnel committee, and everything to make this library better, and one of the great things that make Madison such a special place. We truly appreciate it. Thank you.
I told her she had to have a speech ready.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. My honor.
Yeah. And one quick point of business before we get to oath of office. Rob, at some point, if you do need to drop out, just let us know so we can note that in the minutes. And if there's a point where you accidentally drop out and can't get back in, just send us a text message to Jim to let us know. And
Okay, I understand.
all right, thank you. Let me call up Assemblywoman Mila Jacey and Carmela Vitale and Carmela's family.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Good morning. I want to first thank Carmela for giving me the honor of swearing her in today. This is quite special because we are friends as well as colleagues, and you couldn't have a better person representing you. Do you want to switch them around? Okay. All right. I state your name.
I, Carmela Vitale,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform all the duties
justly perform
council member of the Borough of Madison
council member of the Borough of Madison
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I further solemnly swear
I further solemnly swear
that I will support the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Here to put on Sal there. Yes. That's fine. Make it official. Yes.
Oh, you could jab him.
Well, I've done renewal of vows also, so. Call up Assemblyman John McKeon, Bob Landrigan, and the Landrigan family. Please come forward.
Yeah, I too am honored, Bob. Thank you for
giving me this honor and privilege to be here with you and your family. And Mayor, I always come out of here, I know Milo does the same, just smiling. The sincerity and the love that public officials have for this community and all of you is just palpable and inspiring. Are you ready? Yes, sir. I, Robert E. Landrigan,
I, Robert E. Landrigan,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully
impartially,
and impartially
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of council member of the Borough of Madison,
of council member of the Borough of Madison,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I
to
will
the
bear
same,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States and in this state
in the United States and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Councilman.
Thank you, sir.
Donna, for your patience. You have some room. Normally, at this point, we have a crazy rearrangement of chairs, but since we have the same council sitting, we are staying right where we are, and we will have a second roll call, though.
Mayor Conley,
Here.
Mr. Catalanello,
Here?
Mr. Landrigan,
Here.
Mrs. Vitale,
Here.
Miss Bailey. Here. Mr. Wolkowitz.
Here.
Mr. Rowe.
Here.
Before I start my message, I noticed the Forte family walk in a few minutes ago. I apologize, you missed Mary Beth's presentation for her 5-year medallion, but to John and children, certainly be known that we greatly appreciate the work of your wife and your mother. Your mother is truly a dedicated volunteer, making Madison a greater place, so thank you so much. And it will be available on Rosenet so you can see the original. Before I start my comments, just a sad news to share that this past week we lost Wilson Britton, a 2-term council member who served Madison from January 1, 1967 to December 31st, 1972. Mr. Britton also served our country in Europe during World War II, serving as a sergeant in the Army in the 94th Infantry. So a moment of silence for Councilman Britton and all the other Madisonians we lost in this past year. Thank you. I want to welcome again Assemblyman John McKeon, Assemblywoman Miley Jacey, also all our residents, volunteers, and friends of Madison for coming out on this great New Year's Day. Father George, thank you for a beautiful invocation. And Harmonian, once again, a tremendous job that really sets the tone for today's meeting. And the Girl Scouts, a great job of leading our pledge. Carmela and Bob, it's great to have you back. Continue to working so hard for residents of Madison. And welcome back to our returning council members, Rob Catanello, Austri Bailey, Ben Wolkowitz, and Pat Rowe. And it's hard to believe, this is already my 4th New Year's message. Time flies and we're having fun. At least having fun most of the time. But more importantly, it was 125 years ago when Mayor Albright delivered the first message to Madison. As we have heard recently, Madison had broken away from Chatham Township, not because of the past, but with a look to the future. The need to develop our own water system, not just to provide water to residents, but to ensure a reliable water source to fight fires and to be able to use the water on downtown streets to reduce the dust in summer. In addition to the water utility, the talk in 1890 was the development of electric company. Again, the driving force was a business district. With electric lights, we could extend the business during the winter months. 125 years ago, we already knew we had a special downtown. As I said at our December 8th recognition of our 125 years, so much has changed and so much has remained the same. Over the past year, our council has worked on looking to the future and not just managing for today. One step in creating a stronger future happened quietly as we refinanced our long-term debt. With our council finance experts in residence, Ben Wolkowitz and Rob Catanello, working together with bond counsel, Madison will save $1 million over the term of the bonds, money that can be put to much better use. Under the leadership of Ben Wolkowitz, we launched our 4 planning committees: fiscal management, budget, operations, communications, utilities, and capital. The committees are to be commended for their hard work. The first 2 have already presented, and over the next month, we will hear from utilities and capital. The council will use the work for the committees to create our path to the future, much like the Borough Council of 125 years ago was created in 1890. Speaking of the future, as some of you may have already seen on Facebook, 2015 is a special year. It is the year that Doc Brown and Marty McFly traveled in Back to the Future in Back to the Future 2. So it was this year coming. The future few in 1985 had us driving flying cars in 2015. Regretfully, we are still in a world where the rubber meets the road. And with that in mind, 2014 we saw one of the greatest years of road reinvestment ever. But we will hear from our Capital Strategic Planning Committee, this is not a one-year project. It will be an ongoing challenge for us to keep up with our roads. And anyone who drives on Ridgedale Avenue knows that is an ongoing challenge. The Phase 1 of Ridgedale will commence in 2015. The project will be partially funded by a grant from New Jersey, maybe New York too, New Jersey's Highway Trust Fund, a partnership that is so valuable, a partnership that is about to run out of money. So please bear with me while I get a quick message to Trenton and our governor and state legislature. If we do not secure funding source for a highway trust fund, towns across the state will have to put off infrastructure reinvestment. And our state, so reliant on a daily commute, will fall behind our road to economic recovery. So please, we need to get that done. Now that I've got that off my chest, let me get back to the Borough. In 2015, we will see the next step of the redevelopment of the Green Village Road School. Before year-end, KRE will be closed on the property, a sale that will provide the Board of Education with $12 million, capital that can be reinvested in our schools. The redevelopment committee worked very hard to bring this to this point. I want to thank Carmela Vitale and Bob Landergan for their work, but also, at the time, wearing a different hat as a member of the Board of Education, Pat Rowe. It was this team that set the tone for how government entities can work together. Not only did this committee maximize the value of the Green Village Road School, but it put in place a pilot, and this is mainly from the push of Councilmember Rowe, to make sure the pilot helped fund both the Borough and Board of Education, yet another funding source that will help us meet the needs of the future. Not to be forgotten is the fact that $1 million of this sale will be given to the Borough from the Board of Education, and that's their share of the partnership that brought us the turf fields at MRC. The MRC is a great example of forward thinking. As we look at the property with its fields, community gardens, and passive recreation space with educational trails, we are reminded that it was Osprey Bailey and Don Bowen who led the charge in creation of the Open Space Fund, a fund that has leveraged our dimes to receive dollars from the county and state. As you will see, and as you can see, we have a strong team working here in Madison, for Madison. A team that, unlike the Jets, will remain in place for the 2015 season. And just as in 2014, we will not always agree, but rest assured we will work together for the great future of Madison. While this room was not here for Mayor Albright, his spirit and that of all the previous mayors and council members are present. And I think they would be very happy to see where Madison is and where Madison is going. So to all, a happy and healthy New Year. Into the business of the day. And my water first. Election of council president. for nomination?
Mayor, I'd like to nominate Astrid Bailey.
Do I have a
I
second?
second.
Council discussion?
I have something to say.
Okay, yes. Go ahead, Rob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I beg your pardon, I'm sorry. So, some years ago, evidently there was some tradition wherein the head of the council, or the job of council president, would go to the representative with the longest serving tenure and who had not yet held the position. In fact, Mr. Mayor, you wrote a wonderfully eloquent letter defending that tradition in January of 2010. Basically, we're saying it was presented to the Madison Eagle. The editor's note reads, the following letter concerns the Madison Borough Council's 4-2 vote to re-elect Councilwoman Jeannie Tsukamoto, Republican, for a second consecutive year as council president. The dissenters in the vote were Democrats Astrid Bailey and the writer. That's you. In a prepared January 1st, they explained their objectives was based on a break with tradition. Mariana Holden, a Republican, later was critical of dissenting votes and called them a partisan position. You then wrote a very eloquent letter wherein you explained your rationale for voting against it, and paraphrasing, and you say, to be clear, just the Democrats could have done over the past 7 years. The Republican majority had the right to elect whom they wanted as council president, regardless of tradition. Astrid Bailey and I thought the tradition was a good one, and noted in our comments on January 1st, a tradition that minimized partisan politics. Our vote was certainly not meant to embarrass anyone. I am just having, this is now the third year in a row where the senior person will not be offered the position. And to be fair, 3 years ago, the senior person took themselves out of the running because of work. But I'm having trouble reconciling how such a strong reverence for tradition, as was eloquently expressed in your letter, January 15, 2010, has been cast aside. And as such, considering the eloquent statements made by you on behalf of yourself, Ms. Bailey, I will have to be voting no on this, and I just would like to let everyone know that it's not personal or partisan. I, in fact, agree with everything you wrote in your letter, and we'll be voting this way on behalf of tradition. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a little background. From the best I can understand, is the tradition started probably with all Republican council many years ago. It was maintained for many years as the council went back and forth. And yes, I thank you, Rob, for recognizing the letter I wrote. And coming from a large family, I am someone that really believes in great traditions, but also understand when a tradition is broken, it is often very hard to reestablish it. So, and the ironic thing is the person that was next in line that year was Astrid Bailey. So in a way, we're back to the future here. So, so we will. I appreciate it, and we will share that with our current council. Certainly has heard that message, and future councils will hear it and consider it. Any other comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Catalanello?
No.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
I'll abstain.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
And Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome, Council President. We think we have
Thank you very much for your support.
we have a nameplate. We will not play a
Yeah, well, I
a
like
tape.
this chair, by the way.
Okay, for our January 12th meeting, your chair will be moved over here and to take the council president's seat.
Well, I appreciate everybody's support, and we'll work hard to create a team this year with the mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, your first job is to move the adoption of the bylaws.
I have a question, Mayor. Are we adopting the
the bylaws as they stand now, or not as amended?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, I move that the bylaws listed on the, be adopted as the bylaws of the governing body of the Borough of Madison for the year 2015.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call vote?
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
All right. I wish to make the following appointments for council assignments for the year 2015 of your standing committees. Finance and Borough Clerk, Chair, Robert Landrigan, backup Ben Wolkowitz. Public Safety, Chair, Robert Catanello, backup Austria Bailey. Public Works and Engineering, Chair, Pat Rowe, backup Rob Catanello. Utilities, Carmela Vitale, backup Pat Rowe. Health, Ben Wolkowitz, backup Robert Landrigan. Community Affairs, Austria Bailey with backup of Carmela Vitale.
Mayor, I move confirmation of the foregoing appointments.
I'll second.
Council discussion? Pat?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And as I sent you an email, I'm not going to go into a great amount of detail, but I do believe that this year I'm going to be voting no against the assignments. I agree with Mo in moving people from a chair to a backup position. I understand possibly the situation where you have somebody new in the chair position who hadn't served as the backup previously, but in situations where you already had somebody who served as a chair to move into the vice chair, I felt kind of violated at least the spirit, if not the letter, of your kind of new policy that you put into place 2 years ago to limit people's terms in space for 2 years, especially in the area of finance, because I think that is a place where people really work together as a team. I understand the other areas of backup is kind of a ceremonial position, and it is a place where you want to also have a level of continuity going forward. I think simply flip-flopping people, number one, puts the same two pair of eyes in place for 3 years, and also doesn't really get somebody ready to replace Mr. Landrigan when he, moves on to the next position. And I'm not going to read your whole letter, but I also liked one line in the letter you wrote years ago, and it said, the positions that you were talking about, the liaison positions, are selected in seniority order, which they're not anymore, but it said to give the positions changing almost every year so councils get a better chance of understanding various aspects of the borough operations. And I agree with that. I think moving us around as much as possible over the course of our terms or multiple terms is helpful. So, that's my position.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And to give everyone a little background on that, it had been tradition that it went to senior most. There was a caucus, an executive session, and we went through seniority order, picking each of the assignments. It was pointed out that that cannot be done in executive session, and it really should be done by the bylaws, which is the mayor appoints. There is not an official guideline, but I felt it important, just as Pat Rose shared, that we rotate the chairs of these positions. It was not intended for vice chair, but I do understand, as such a good job of quoting me from a few years ago, the importance of getting people to get their feet wet in multiple areas. It certainly would not be my policy to rotate back and forth, though this could be my last time, or who knows? Stay tuned on that one. But we'll see. But I appreciate your input on that.
Thank you.
And one of the reasons, as I point out in my email back to you, is that on the backup, sometimes it truly is just, you're there on the bench, ready to report. Sometimes it is very active, and it was very difficult sometimes to make the right assignments if there was restrictions on the backup. Any other comments? Okay.
Yes, may I have comment?
Yes, go ahead, Rob.
Thank you very much, and I am for the record, I'm looking forward with great anticipation of assuming my position as public safety liaison. However, I too would like to register my concerns over the flip-flopping on the finance position. I too feel as though we should have continued to honor the old traditions, which, again, you so eloquently state in your lovely letter, was a tradition that you agreed with all those years ago. And furthermore, I think that by just flip-flopping chair and the deputy, again, it's a violation, at least of the spirit of your rules. Lastly, I think that if you look at the work that was done by the strategic planning committees that were formed at the request of Mr. Wolkowitz with council support. And if you look at the results of the budget committee, and then you compare the budget that was put forth earlier in the year by Mr. Rowe and myself, with Mr. Rowe doing the lion's share of the work, and compare it to what was actually passed, I think that Mr. Rowe and my submission was more in line with what the committee eventually came out as with their recommendations. That's why I think, this is my 5th year on council, and I have never worked with anyone that I don't think is as qualified as Pat to be involved in the finance positions. He's meticulous. He's detail-oriented. He has lots of experience from his time on the school board, and I just don't see why why we couldn't at least ask him to be the backup for finance. He has a keen set of eyes. He is not afraid to ask questions, and I think that it would have been more appropriate in keeping with your own new guidelines if we had at least involved Pat as a deputy there. Again, I've been on council for 5 years. I have 24 years experience in financial services, and I think that he's the right man for the job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Those are my comments.
And as you know from our many conversations, I take all these suggestions to heart, and I'm a continually evolving leader here, so thank you very much. Yes, Astrid.
May I say something? I just want to remind the council that all 6 of us ultimately vote on the budget and scrutinize it and make input on the budget and the details. So a liaison reports back and, yes, helps put input into that budget, but ultimately it's all 6 of us. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Catalanello?
No.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Miss Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
No.
Okay. Carries, and on to wish to make the following appointments not subject to council confirmation. Environmental Commission, 3-year terms through December 31st. I'm sorry, I went to number 14 has always been bad luck for me, so I skipped right by it, right past you. I wish to make the following appointments as borough officials. Borough Attorney Matthew Giacobbe, Esquire. Housing Officer Lisa Gula, annual appointment. Zoning Officer Frank Russo, Omlin Engineering Associates, Inc., a Bowman Consulting Company. Deputy Zoning Officer Danny Buckaloo, annual appointment, and also Fire Sub-Code Official Bruce Barrios.
Mayor, I move confirmation of the foregoing appointments.
I second it.
Discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Miss Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Now I move on to number 15. Following appointments not subject to council confirmation. Environmental Commission, 3-year terms through December 31st, 2017. Missy Durham, Jeffrey Gertler, Susan Nicolescu, Claire Whitcomb, sorry. 2-year term through December 31st, 2016. Judy Honahan, alternate number 1. And 1-year term through December 31st, 2015. Betsy Ullman, Chair. Austria Bailey, Planning Board Rep. And Patrick Rowe, Council Liaison. And Historic Preservation Commission, 4-year term through December 31st, 2018. William Van Ryzen, Class C regular. 2-year term through December 31st, 2016. Dave Lubert, alternate number 2. And 1-year term through December 31st, 2015. Pat Rowe, Council Liaison. Housing Authority, unexpired 5-year term through August 10th, 2019. Gary Ruckelshaus, Commissioner. And Planning Board, 4-year term through December 31st, 2018. Stephen Tombalakian, Class 4, 3-year term through December 31st, 2017. Jeff Gertler, Class 4, Environmental Commission Rep, and 1-year term through December 31st, 2015. John Forte, Class 2 official of the borough other than governing body. And we need to
Mr. Mayor, I move the appointment of Astrid Bailey as our liaison to the planning board.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
I second.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Okay, I wish to make the following appointments, special positions requiring council confirmation, and these are all for one-year terms through December 31st, 2015. Board of Education, Robert Landrigan. And we also have to to shared services. Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to clarify that. We need a second person for shared services there. Chamber of Commerce, Austria Bailey, Historian Kay Leary, Housing Authority, Ben Wolkowitz, Joint Meeting Council Representatives, Bob Landrigan, Finance Chair, Carmela Vitale, Operating Vice Chair, Joint Municipal Court, Rob Catalanello and Bob Landrigan members, Museum of Early Trades and Crafts, Austria Bailey, Council Liaison, Passaic Valley Groundwater Protection Committee, Daniel Kelly, Project Community Pride, Rob Catalanello, Council Liaison, Bob Landrigan, Backup Liaison. Whippany River Watershed Action Committee, appointing both of these to the committee, Carmela Vitale and Ben Wolkowitz as Council Liaisons, and Madison Community Pool, Pat Rowe.
Mayor, I move approval of the foregoing appointments.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Okay, for appointments to members of boards and committees subject to council approval, I ask that Mr. Catalanello announce the following mayor's appointments to the individuals requiring council confirmation.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, the packet didn't arrive before we departed.
Okay. I will, we'll have,
If I could have someone back me up, I'd appreciate it.
there we go. Austria's council president, can you read through those?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Board of Health, 2-year term through December 31, 2016. Michael Giordano, alternate 1. 1-year term through December 31, 2015. Benjamin Wolkowitz, council liaison. Community Garden Advisory Committee, 3-year term through December 31, 2017. Michael Barrasso, regular. Sandra Clark, regular. Kristen Kellogg, regular. Margaret Malashak, regular. Barbara Spillane, regular. Stephen Stocker, regular. 1-year term through December 31, 2015. Robert Catalanello, council liaison. Complete Streets Committee, 1-year term through December 31, 2015. Mayor ex officio Robert H. Conley. Public Safety Council Liaison Robert Catalanello. Engineering Council Liaison Patrick Rowe. Borough Engineer Robert Vogel. Public Works Superintendent David Maines. Traffic Study Officer Chad Ripka. Board of Education Representative Lisa Ellis. Resident Mark Chalanza. Resident Kirk Oakes. Mayor, I move approval of the foregoing appointments.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Landrigan, please make the following announcements for my appointments requiring council confirmation.
Absolutely. Downtown Development Commission, 3-year term through December 31st, 2017. Peter R. Fleming, Planning Board Rep. Craig Arizuma, Owner, Merchant, Landlord. John Hoover, Senior Citizen Committee Rep. Gary Herzog, Media Rep. Larry Jansen, Geralda Farm Rep. Unexpired term through December 31st, 2015. Eric Range at large. Jim Hollenbeck, Owner, Merchant, Landlord. Unexpired 3-year term through December 31st, 2016. Leslie Lajewski, Board of Education Rep. 1-year term through December 31st, 2015, Astrid Bailey, Council Liaison. Utilities Advisory Committee, 3-year term through December 31st, 2017, Elizabeth McKeever, William Hutchinson, Joseph Moniz, Carmela Vitale, Council Liaison. Library Trustees, unexpired 5-year term through December 31st, 2018. Louise Easton, trustee.
Mayor, I move approval of the foregoing appointments.
A second.
Discussion, roll call vote.
Mr. Catalonello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Miss Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
I request Ms. Vitale to announce the mayor's appointments for the following individuals requiring council confirmation.
Thank you, Mayor. Local Emergency Planning Council for 2015, Administrator, Assistant Borough Administrator, Borough Engineer, Construction Official, Electric Utility Superintendent, Fire Chief, Health Officer, Mayor. Superintendent of Public Works, Council Member Robert Catalanello, Auxiliary Police John Granata, Board of Education Representative John Connolly, Madison Eagle Gary Herzog, Madison Chatham Joint Meeting, which is a sewer, Superintendent Chris Manick, Medical Representative Carmen Romano, Drew University Rep, Chief Robert C. Lucid, OEM Coordinator, Robert Landrigan, OEM Deputy Coordinator, Police Chief Darren Dashison, OEM Assistant Coordinator James Cavazza, Pharmacist Frank Iannarone, Public Information Officer Joseph Longo, Racy's Lee Storm, School Resource Officer Lisa Esposito, Secretary Christy Mannion, Senior Citizens Advisory Rep Carmela Vitale. Madison Alliance Addressing Substance Abuse, 3-year term through December 31st, 2017. Lisa Esposito, Law Enforcement Official. Christine Schessler, Health Educator. Jamie Moulette, Student Assistance Coordinator, Madison High School. 1-year term through December 31st, 2015. Benjamin Wolkowitz, Council Liaison. Open Space, Recreation, and Historic Preservation Advisory Committee, 3-year term through December 31st, 2017. Melissa Honahan, Madison resident, 2 of 4, 1-year term through December 31st, 2015. John A. Neal, Judy Mullins. John A. Neal is Parks Advisory, Judy Mullins Planning Board Rep, Missy Durham is Environmental Commission Rep, William Van Ryzen, Historic Preservation Commission Rep, Peter Hiscano, Recreation Committee Rep, Mayor Robert H. Conley, ex officio, Austri Bailey, Council Liaison.
Mayor, I move approval of the foregoing appointments.
Seconded.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Catalonello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Miss Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
I request Ms. Bailey to make the following mayor's appointments requesting approval.
Okay. Parks Advisory Committee, 1-year term through December 31, 2015. Paul Alaco, Chair. Kathy Coltis, Secretary. Robert McDowell. Debbie Mantone. John A. Neal. John Taylor. Jeffrey Thomas. Lois Wolkowitz. Diane Zombik. And Patrick Rowe, Council Liaison. Patriotic Celebrations Committee, 1-year term through December 31, 2015. Ron DiBiase, Peter Fleming Sr., Thomas Granato, Wayne Henderson, James Kemp, Sam Mantone, Jeffrey Petit, Michael Piano, Victor Schumacher, Patrick Sherwood, Carmela Vitale, Council Liaison. Property Maintenance Emergency Committee, 1-year term through December 31, 2015. Construction Code Official, Health Officer, Board of Health President, 1 of 2 required. Board of Health Member, 2 of 2 required. Benjamin Wolkowitz, Council Liaison and Chair. Mayor, I move approval of the foregoing appointments.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Catalonello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Miss Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
I request Mr. Wolkowitz to make the following mayor's appointments and requiring council confirmation.
Thank you, Mayor. Recreation Advisory Committee, 1-year term through December 31st, 2015. Harvey Allen, Community Pool Rep. Dan Bolig, Robert Boyle, Brenda Catanello, Stephen Coppola, Nino Caviello, Chuck Ellis, and Zach Ellis, ex officio Recreation Director. Tony Gero, Peter Hiscano, Christopher Holland, Martin Horn, Vito Lupino, Dorina Martriano, Bill McCahey, Rajan Sinha, Nick Spagnoletti, Mark Sweeney, Kenneth Ware, Michael Wallace, and Austri Bailey as council liaison. Safety Committee, one-year term through December 31st, 2015. Borough Administrator, Assistant Borough Administrator, Borough Engineer, Chief Financial Officer / Personnel, Electric Utility Superintendent, Fire Chief, Health Officer, Madison Chatham Joint Meeting Superintendent, Police Chief, Purchasing Officer, Recreation Director, Superintendent of Public Works, Robert Catalanello, Council Liaison. Senior Citizens Advisory Committee, one-year term through December 31st, 2015. Ruth Barrett, AARP Rep. John Hoover, DDC Rep. Lena Crasto, Rexford S. Tucker Apartments Rep. Peggy Donnelly, Rose City Steppers. Sandy Fiello, Stay Healthy Program. Edna Early Byrne, Senior Citizen Coordinator. Phyllis Fleming, Senior Rep. Kay Leary, Thursday Morning Club Rep. Florence Rice, Madison Health Department. Kay Schaller, RSVP. Jill Work, Madison Library Rep. Carmela Vitale, Chair. Austri Bailey, Council Liaison.
Mayor, I move approval of the foregoing appointments.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
I request Mr. Rowe to make the following mayor's appointments requiring council confirmation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Shade Tree Management Board, 5-year term through December 31st, 2019. Nancy Bruce, Michael Kopaz, and Stephen Miller, all regular, and 1-year term through December 31st, 2015. Me. Sustainable Madison Advisory Committee, 3-year term through December 31st, 2017. Ellen Cranefus and Sandra Gowan, regular, 1-year term through December 31st, 2015. Betsy Ullman, Wayne Desjardins, David Maines, James Burnett, and Patrick Rowe, Council Liaison. And finally, the Madison Zoning Board of Adjustment, 4-year terms through December 31st, 2018. Joseph Santoro and Melissa Elias, regular. 2-year term through December 31st, 2016. Helen Carr, alternate number 2. Unexpired 4-year term through December 31st, 2015. Roger Petzel, regular. And unexpired 2-year term through December 31st, 2015. Carl Hess, alternate number 1.
Mayor, I move approval of the foregoing appointments.
Second.
Are there, thank you, any communications?
Oh, we need a roll call.
Well, yeah,
We'll do one more roll call.
sorry. We've got a wedding coming in here shortly. No,
Yeah.
it's only kidding.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
All right. Any communications?
None received, Mayor.
This is our invitation for discussion from the public. Anyone wishing to comment on anything, please step up to the lectern, state your name, your address, write the same on the clipboard, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Anyone wishing to make a comment? Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting. And may I have a statement related to consent agenda resolutions.
Consent agenda resolutions will be enacted with a single motion. Any resolution requiring expenditure is supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any resolution requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. All resolutions will be reflected in full in the minutes. Resolution 25 has been pulled.
Right. Okay, Council President?
That's a new job for me.
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor, I move adoption of resolutions listed on the consent agenda. And I guess R25 has been removed.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Yep. All right. Any discussion?
I will be abstaining from R19 and R28.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
I believe I need to abstain, or maybe Matt can advise, as I did not receive the packet prior to my departure. Should I abstain?
He doesn't know what they are.
I don't think there's anything that No, I think that you're okay with everything that is on there.
He hasn't read them.
Okay, that's
You can
true.
abstain.
I
If
guess,
you
I
haven't
guess,
re-
I
if you
guess,
haven't
I guess.
reviewed them, you should abstain.
Yeah, thank you, I didn't, no, thank you for clarifying that. Yes.
Okay.
Unless we're going to read them all. So we can vote?
Yep, we have do we have a second on that?
Yeah, we did.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further, yeah, we did have a second, because I was asking for discussion. No.
Rob, second.
Yeah.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Okay, Mr. Catalano? Abstain.
I abstain.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes to all except 19 and 28, where I abstain.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
And Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
All right, before Pat makes his motion, Rob, I want to thank you for calling in, and if you're not in the water in the next 5 minutes, there'll be a full investigation.
I promise you I will be. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your vacation.
Happy New Year, and I move we abstain.
Thank you.
Adjourn, yeah.
Oh, it's a good year.
Thank you all.
On the dot.
Yeah, what were you doing last night?
He hasn't read them. Unless we're going to read them.